And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends above our heads there, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. It's Wednesday, so you know what that means. Wrestling Wednesdays with Gary Althiser, head coach at Wellsville, and also our wrestling guru here at YSN. We bring him aboard every Wednesday to talk wrestling, and we also try to bring a guest on every Wednesday. That trend continues here in episode 4 of the season as we bring a guy who, Gary, we've talked about this kid a lot. You know, it's a surprise we took 3 years to get him on, but it is the arch enemy of Mario. It is Nick Bowser coming in from Hubbard, the big man himself. Buddy, how we doing today?
We're doing pretty good. It's a cold day. It's our last day of school until the break, so pretty
Yeah,
happy
let's
with it.
go. Last day, a bunch of movies, I'm guessing.
No, I just came out of my Holocaust studies class,
Well,
so
that's
we
not
were
good.
going over.
That's
No,
depressing.
no.
Let's get to some wrestling talk. One of the things that we have to ask first and foremost, what's it been like going through this career that you've had, and you've been doing a lot of great things at Hubbard, and you're trying to have this last hurrah here this year. Me and Gary joked that it feels like you've been wrestling for Hubbard for 7 years now, with how much we've been talking about you. What's it like to kind of have this last hurrah this year at Hubbard?
It's definitely special to me because coming up here soon, I'm going to break the school record for wins, which is pretty nice for me. And it's definitely no. We haven't had a state champion in school history either in wrestling, so that's definitely one thing that I want to leave my mark before I leave. That's definitely the biggest thing for me.
Hey, Nick, before I get to a serious question, I have to ask, do you have a Bowser singlet that you wear in the off season or in the summer or at open tournaments? Please tell us you have one.
I do not. I actually
Oh, man.
I have a Bowser costume though that I
Okay.
do. We did a family night at Hubbard during the summer, and we were watching the Mario movie, and the athletic director had me dress up as Bowser and take pictures with all the little kids.
Yes,
That's
it's
So
great.
that was fun.
you got to feed the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do it. One of the questions I have for you is, you talked about all your goals that you wanted this year, and you wanted to leave your mark. And one of the ways you do that is you build the culture of the wrestlers that will come into the future. When you look at the wrestlers that will be with Hubbard next year and the underclassmen that are coming up, what kind of mark do you think you've left on them as a leader?
Um, that's a great question. So we have a lot of kids that are underneath me that have always talked about to their parents that how much they've looked up to me, and all the stuff that I've done, and how they want to strive as far as I have with wins, takedowns, all that with what I've accomplished. Out at Fargo, even I have kids that are asking me about how to wrestle freestyle. Where should they start? It's definitely something that you see throughout the team in the years that's gone by. As I've gotten better, our team has also gotten better. So I really feel like bringing more kids out too. We have a lot of first year guys that are really showing the mark this year. And they strive. And we have the best team that we've had um, throughout my entire high school career this year. We did really good at our tournament last weekend. We're looking to win the dual tournament up in Pymatuning Valley this weekend. And I think we have a really good shot at taking the OWL home.
Okay, Nick, every week when we get a guest on here, this is always my first question. Every good wrestler has a good drilling partner. Who is your drilling partner? Is it a teammate or is it a coach, somebody who's pushed you during your career? Who's your go-to in the room?
Right now, for the past 2 years, it's been Lucas Cease, our 190 pounder. But this year we had a kid that moved in Grove City. He's 175. So they are very good drill partners for each other. I'm a little bit heavier than 175 pounds. So it's nicer for him that he doesn't have to be moving me around all the time. But this year we have a first year guy. He's going to wrestle 215 this year. His name's Derek Lindsay. He's been my guy for the few weeks, but I'm still getting him pretty good. He's been a very good drill partner for me so far this year.
What's that like bringing in a new one and trying to build a new relationship with a new drill partner this year?
It's not very different because I've had many drill partners throughout the year, and it's really easy as long as you both know. And he's wrestled when he was little, but he hasn't wrestled at the middle school or the high school level. So he knows the basics and he knows what he's got to do. And the one thing that he told me is he told me that he knows the quality of the partner that he has, and he knows that if he rises to my skill level, then we can just keep competing and getting better together.
Absolutely. That's a great point. So being a heavyweight, I don't know if the general public knows that as a heavyweight, most matches end two ways: a quick pin, or it's a very tight match by 1 or 2 points, and way more heavyweights go into overtime than I think people realize. So you
Yes.
being a heavyweight, first off, how much are you weighing in on Saturdays at the tournament? Second, how do you keep yourself in shape for those long, grueling matches? What do you do extra to keep your conditioning up? Because as you know, a heavyweight that's in good shape and can go all 3 plus overtime has a big advantage over most.
Mm-hmm. So at the start of the year, I was about 294 pounds. So I've already cut down to 280, and I'm looking to get
Nice.
down to about 270 within at least by mid-January. Christmas is not going to help with that. And I always, the biggest thing for me is I always stay in my stance for the whole practice. So the entire hour and a half that we're in the room, I come out of my stance 2 times, and it's for both water breaks. Every other time in my stance or for running, I'm always in my stance. That's the biggest thing for me is if you're in your stance, it just constantly keeps the action going with you and your drill partner. And that's just the easiest way for me to get in shape, really.
Gary asked about the physical, conditioning to get in through those long, grueling matches, but we also know it's all mental too. There's a lot of mental strain that goes through those long matches. What do you do to stay in the right mental frame?
The biggest thing for me is I just don't think about my opponent's the guy that I'm wrestling, because I know that if I'm wrestling, like I know how to wrestle, there's no one in the state of Ohio that can touch me. And as long as I know that, and I'm competing with myself every day, no one can be on my level.
Nick, I remember whenever you came up as a freshman, and I saw you wrestle for the first time at the EOWL, you were extremely aggressive on the mat. And that seems like to be just how you go at it. Have you always been like that, where you just go as soon as the whistle blows, you're going at it? And have you noticed that really has led to your success?
Yes, I've always been like that ever since I was little. I started wrestling when I was 5 years old, and I really started getting to where I'm at now when I was in 6th grade, and then I started wrestling out in Akron with St. Vincent St. Mary for their club team, which is what made me the wrestler I am today. But I've always been constant moving, and I know if my condition's better, I know I got to wear them out as fast as possible. Once they wear down, it's going to be over. So if I'm pushing them right from the whistle, I'm not wasting any time for them to lose all their breath.
All the wrestlers that we brought on, it seems like everyone develops rivalries over their high school career. Guys that they've wrestled a ton, guys that they know that they're going to have fun wrestling, they're going to be pushed wrestling. Who are some of the guys that you know that, like, when your name pops up across from them on the bracket, and you know that you're gonna face off with them, you know it's going to be fun, you know it's going to be competitive, and you look forward to matches with them?
So throughout my career, I've had a few. My favorite one's Aiden Faulkner. Me and him wrestled ever since we were in 5th grade against each other. We wrestled in the Super 32 finals, the Powerade finals, the state finals. He's now going to Central Michigan. He took the career in wrestling. He stopped playing football, but I started doing both. So he really accelerated when he stopped playing football. That dude's an absolute stud. But I don't really get to wrestle him anymore. Division I out of Perry. And then my biggest in my high school career was Cam Brazak. I know I never beat him, the heavyweight from Louisville, but I mean, every single time I wrestled him, it was a good time, because I knew he was bringing it. I was bringing it. First time I ever wrestled him, I lost to him 11-7. That was my freshman year, and then sophomore year I wrestled him 6 times, and I went 0-6, and that was miserable. And I wrestled him in the Conti semis of my sophomore year to go to state, and I lost to him 1-0, and he ended up pinning 3 dudes straight in state and placed like 4th, and I got left out after me and him would just brawl out. We had the district that we were in was just insane with the amount of competition at heavyweight.
So last season, you went on to a state, but both kids you lost to placed. And now that you've got that experience under your belt, first time, a lot of times it might be the bright lights get you, your nerves get you. I don't know if that had anything to do with you. You wrestled two really quality kids, but do you feel like now you've got a much better mindset going into the season as you've already been there and now you see you got your goals in sight and you want to be on the top of that podium?
So I've wrestled at some very big tournaments, like the Freak Show in Vegas, Fargo out of North Dakota. It definitely wasn't the lights. I had an injury that I sustained in January. I tore my UCL, and I ended up getting MRSA at state. So I ended up in the hospital for a week after state. So yeah, stuff happens, but I'm very happy that I pushed through it, and I definitely did get that first feeling of the state tournament, which is going to help this year, and I'm going to know what I'm in for. It's definitely not as big as Fargo was, but it's a stage. It's definitely an awesome stage.
All right, and since you are a senior, I want to have a question about your future goals and the things you want to do after you graduate high school. What are some of your future goals, and what are some things that you want to see accomplished after you leave Hubbard?
So I want to go play football or wrestle at the next level. I'm pretty sure I have my college picked out, but that's going to be that's for a later date to announce. I just don't know if I'm gonna play football or wrestle at that college yet. I'm still pending on that decision. But if I play football, I obviously want to be an All-American. I want to be 4-year starter for the team I play for. I want to be a contributor to the winning that this program has done for the last feels like ever. And for wrestling, I want to be a national. I want to be a national champion in college.
All right, I thought we might get that exclusive announcement. I would try to get out of you, but I props to you for keeping your cool and not announcing it. But you got to promise that when you do make that decision, you come on YSN and you do it exclusively for us.
All right, I will.
Awesome.
I dropped a pretty big hint.
Yeah. If you know, you know.
A UCL, that's a elbow injury, right?
Yes. So
is that? Go ahead.
Okay. So it was the Tommy John surgery.
Okay.
So if I didn't play baseball and I'm not a quarterback, I'm obviously not a quarterback. So I didn't have to worry about getting the surgery. I just had to have my arm locked for like 2 months, and then it healed just as well, just for it to be stable. Because I don't play baseball anymore, and I don't need to throw. I'm not throwing a football anytime soon either.
That was the same injury Brock Purdy had, and he's going to be NFL MVP. So,
I don't think he does. I don't think he deserves it, but
Ooh, shots fired.
I think Tyreek Hill should get it. That's just me, though.
Yeah, it'll be close for sure.
Yeah,
so, other than the state champ, any other goals you have? Do you have like a school record you're going after this season?
Yeah, our school record right now is set at 128 wins. Right now, I'm sitting at 114. So relatively soon, that's definitely one I want to break, and I'm excited for that. And then a lot of our records have been lost due to our athletic director explained it to me, but he started compiling it all. So I don't want to have every record, but me and Noah Adamson on my team are going to split pretty much everything once the year's over. He's been a real good wrestler, and I'm excited to see what he does too this year.
As you should. You guys are some of the best that have ever come through Hubbard, and we thank you for coming on. Before we let you go, we want to give every player that we bring on the opportunity to thank their support system, the people that have been there in their corner, the people that they wouldn't be where they are without. Want to give you the time to take as much time as you want to shout out the people that you think deserve it and you think deserve to have that light shined on them.
I definitely think Noah Adamson needs a light shined on him. That kid works his butt off every single day, goes to camps out the summer. He works every single week to be where he's at, and he is absolutely reaping it. And I couldn't be more happy for him. He's worked so hard for it these last 4 years, and he's finally going to really show this year, and I'm very happy for him. Another guy I want to talk about is I know I didn't talk about him during my rivals, but he's one. Vince Luce, wrestler from Canfield. I love wrestling him. He's pushed me in football and wrestling. We played them a few years ago in football. Me and him had a few one-on-ones. We had a whole lot of time together. We've played football against each other since we were little. So he's definitely a guy that deserves a lot of the recognition that he goes. He signed with Robert Morris today. Very proud of him. And I just want to thank my mom, my dad for bringing me to putting me in front of the right people to wrestle with. Because if it wasn't for them, I would not be the wrestler I am today.
All right, Nick, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us in the middle of your school day. We appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck. Merry Christmas break. And we'll
Thank
see
you.
you again real soon.
All right.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you for having me.
Nick Bowser, the big man, the big dog, and man, we're so happy that he's able to come on to Wrestling Wednesdays. It took us long enough to get him on, and we finally did. And what a great interview, Gary.
Yeah, it sounds like a really bright kid. He answered the questions well, and you could tell he's a senior and he knows what he wants to do and what he needs to do this season. So I'll be interested to see how he does the rest of the year.
So far, Gary, the wrestlers that we've brought on, that was our second one of the season so far. Both of them have been really. I've just loved the confidence that comes off of them. It's not arrogance, it's confidence, and I think it's easy for teenagers to toe that line and to maybe step over it a little bit. But both of them that we brought on have had the obscene amount of confidence, but they never take that next step into arrogance, and I love seeing that from kids.
Yeah, and he made some good points. He's wrestled in the Super 32. He's wrestled at Fargo. He's wrestled at these big national tournaments. He's seen it all. To do that kind of traveling, he's been to the state tournament. I didn't realize that he was injured and that he also he got MRSA. Man, talk about bad beats. That's about as bad as it gets. But he's been on the big stage. He's done almost everything he's probably wanted to do. So he should be confident. He's put in the work. He's got the results, and he's got to focus on his goal. He knows what he needs to do to get there.
Yeah, and adversity at the highest level. First they talk about that. I mean, you tear your UCL, and then also, you get MRSA, and it's just talk about going through it in the state finals, and still, like he said, he was proud that he finished. He grinded through. He didn't tap out of the state tournament. He just went there. He had a lot to deal with, and he got through it, which I think is something you absolutely should be proud of. Results kind of on the mat go past that. That's bigger than results when you're able to push yourself like that and accomplish one of the goals, which was one, get there, and then compete there and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, exactly. He's talked about his sophomore year where he lost a 1-0 match, to a kid from Louisville that placed in the top 4. And after his match, he said he went on and pinned like 3 other guys. So I'm sure that it probably aided him thinking I could have been on that podium. I was right there with the guy in the top 4. Then the next year to go all the way, to the end of the season and get injured like that, that's got to be heartbreaking. But he could have packed it in and just said, I'll just go back for my senior year. That's not a good attitude to have because you never know what can happen in a year's time. A different kind of injury. He's a good football player. Who knows what could happen during football season? So he took advantage of every opportunity he had. And you know what? You just got to come back. You can't control the past. You can only focus on the future. And that sounds like what he's doing.
I'm excited to see where he goes and what decision he makes. He alluded to he's trying to decide football or wrestling. Obviously, he was really good at both of them at Hubbard, and he had a great senior season for football. And he was probably, one of, if not the best wrestler that's ever come through that school as far as the heavyweights go, especially heavyweights, but all around. I think when you have as many records as he's going to have by the end of his career, you can pretty much put on the dotted line that he was one of, if not the best wrestlers to ever come to that school.
Yeah, and he's only 14 wins away from that school record. He'll get plenty of chances to break that here. We've only finished the second week of competing. We're in the third week now. That'll be something that he'll be able to look at forever, until it's broken, as long as he stays healthy and gets there. So it looks like he's got good things on the horizon, and he's trying to build the interest in the sport. And, what I'm happy to hear from him is that this is the best team he's had since he's been in high school, and they're looking to bring home a team trophy. I know just from being a coach, when you grind for a long time and you finally get a team together, everything comes together, and you start having success as a unit. It is one of the most gratifying things that you can do in an individual sport, where a lot of times the team aspect gets ignored. But that is, if you can, have success individually and then as a team, that's the ultimate experience I feel like a high school athlete can go through.
And we didn't dive into it too much in that interview, but he's an absolute role model for the wrestlers coming up in that program. And I think everyone that is in that room and the people that are going to be in that room, even the younger people that are going to be in that room soon, they know his presence, they know what he's about, they look up to him, and they want to be in his shoes when they get to that point. So he's going to have ripple effects on that program after he graduates for a long time to come.
Oh, absolutely, he will. Hopefully for him, he can get on the top of that podium, and then everybody can see, hey, state champions in wrestling come out of Hubbard as well. So it'll be fun to watch him this season. I know that you and I will be rooting for him, and hopefully his parents are listening and they'll get him that singlet after all these
Yes,
years.
we got to do it for the brand. We have to.
Yes.
One of the things that though is that like if he gets out, he has to earn it to get out of the district because he said it and it's absolutely true. The heavyweight district that's in our area is ridiculously competitive. So getting out of our district's hard enough, but usually the heavyweight that gets out of our district does pretty well at state.
Yeah. Hey, this is this area in this YSN area. This is a successful area for wrestling. This is really a hotbed for it in Division II, especially. So he's going to see a lot of these guys during the
Mhm.
season too, and that's another good thing. Some coaches say it's bad. You shouldn't see your opponents. Why not be a surprise? Well, they're going to be a surprise to you as well. So if you can see the guys that you have to see at the district tournament, I know that we specifically scheduled in the past, we have scheduled things outside of our norm just because there were guys that we were going to see there that we wouldn't see again until we get to our district, because we are the furthest south school in the district that we belong to. That goes for all of our sports. So in a regular season setting, in a local setting, we don't see a lot of these teams that we see in the district. So personally, for us, getting that experience against those guys was really important. And he's going to see a lot of those guys, as he goes throughout the season here to get ready. And I'm sure if he finds a flaw, he's going to be working on it, being prepared for that district and state tournament.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I can see why teams would want to maybe not show their cards in team sports to teams that they might play in the district or whatever. But wrestling, like, I feel like I wouldn't want that mystique of that opponent that maybe is really high ranked in the tournament to linger until districts. I'd want to just see him, even if I lose to him. I want to just be able to knock away that mystique or that kind of unknown before the tournament started. I'd want to get in there and have that measuring stick. And a lot of the wrestlers we talk to, they don't even like. I'm not going to say they don't scout at all, but they're more focused on what they do, way more than they're focused on what the opponent does anyway. So I feel like in wrestling, particularly, and probably other individual sports as well, you don't really take into that whole like we need to keep ourselves a secret or we need to hold cards back in case we see them in the tournament kind of thing. I think wrestling is unique in that way where it's more like let's just see them as much as we can before the tournament and then we know exactly what I have to do to beat them when it comes to tournament time.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword because they're going to see you as
Yep.
well. But especially as an underdog, if you're an underdog, what do you got to lose by seeing the guys that you're going to see at district and state that may have a better resume or be ranked higher or have better success in the past than you? I don't think you have much to lose there. But you don't want to give all your cards. You don't want to show all your cards. Obviously, you want to keep a couple of things. In your back pocket. But at the same time, if you're wrestling them during the season, you go all out because those wins could mean something come seeding time in the postseason. But like you said, most of the wrestlers we talk to don't focus on what the other guys do, and that's what good wrestlers do.
Mhm.
Because in the end, you can't control what they're going to do. You can only control what you can do. You focus too much on your opponent, you're not focusing on yourself and improving on your own. And that's something that you will see successful wrestlers that will be their goal and their main focus is just themselves, what they can focus on, and not worry about any of the other noise on the outside and only their opponent while they're wrestling them.
Plus, we've talked about it in some of these tournaments. You don't know who you're wrestling until it's like
Right.
right there, so you don't have time to break down film or scout them per se. You might know a little bit about them, but you're not going to have time to open up the iPad and go through 3 matches and break down their strengths and weaknesses. So you gotta get used to focusing on yourself in wrestling anyway.
Yeah, it's an individual sport, and the best thing about the sport is it rewards those who put in the work, and
Hmm.
it does not reward those that don't. You can't ride on the coattails of your teammates
Right.
when you're on the mat. When you're on the mat, you're by yourself. You're in the same size circle as everyone else. It's you, your opponent, and the referee, and that's it. And that's all that matters. So if you don't put in the work, you're not going to get rewarded for it in this sport. I don't think anyone who's ever competed in this sport would tell you anything different. It's all about you, what you do, how you persevere, and you're really. It comes down to how much heart you have.
All right, Gary. So we've had a week since we last talked. I know there's been some wrestling that has gone down. What kind of things did you see in the last week that is recap worthy heading into this week?
Well, we were at the United tournament, United Local Invitationals, their 6th annual invitational. It was a good tournament this year. It was some better competition this year. Some bigger schools were there. Some successful schools were there. We got to see some really great wrestling. Uh, Things are just getting in the swing of things. You're seeing guys at heavier weights than they're going to be at the end of the season. But now that it was the second week of competition, the rust and the cobwebs are getting knocked off. Guys are rounding out into form, and you're starting to see closer matches, and you're starting to see guys really just kind of hit their stride. That's what I noticed most this weekend. It's just already we're getting to the end of the year. Come Monday, every wrestler celebrates not only it being Christmas morning because the what's going to be under the Christmas tree, but they also get a 2 pound allowance from the state of Ohio, so they will be enjoying that. So this weekend will be the last competition where once if you've made scratch weight, you'll get a 2 pound allowance moving forward. So I know at least for the guys on my team, and I'm sure every other coach in the state can relate for the 2 pound allowance they're going to get here coming up.
We had the Hopeful tournament happen over the weekend too. Our good friend Gary Leininger was down there taking pictures. So if you were there and have one of your student athletes that you want to grab some action shots of, make sure to go to YSN Live Smug Mug account and check out Gary's wonderful shots down there at the Hopeful Invitational over the weekend. That's always a fun place to be.
Yeah, Hopple tournament has some great competition. I believe Beaver Local
No
won
shocker.
that. Yeah, and Bobby Buhite, he won the tournament. He received most outstanding wrestler. We interviewed him last year. He's having a great start to his sophomore campaign. So it's good to see the YSN kids doing well. They've done well last week. They're doing well this week. So I think we're going to be well represented this year.
And before the weekend, Beaver Local also came down to my neck of the woods in Boardman and really just laid it on a big Spartan team. We talked about how big that wrestling program is in Boardman, and it's I think the biggest school in the YSN network as far as um the class amount, the class size. And Beaver Local came into Boardman and they dominated that match pretty handedly.
Yeah, that's a duel that happens every year. Beaver Local's got a good team and a good program, and they're ready to go every week. That score doesn't surprise me, but I'm sure that Coach Haiti is just getting his team rounded in the form now. He started his second year there in Boardman. So I'm sure that they're going to continue to get better as the season goes on. And so will Beaver Local. They got a young team. They got some young guys with some real potential on that team. They're going to be one to watch here coming in the next couple of years.
Want to give a shout out last night. West Branch had their first girls team, sent and represented in a match. They were at Northwest, Canal Fulton Northwest, which anyone that knows wrestling knows that program is just built for success down there in Canal Fulton. They know how to wrestle, and they're in a lot of projected winners. I think they probably have a couple of state ranked kids too, if I'm not mistaken, Gary.
Yeah, they always do. I can't, not off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but that's another program that's successful every year, and it's good to see it expanding.
So it's a premier powerhouse, but West Branch went down there and they had, like I said, the first girls team represented in school history. So congratulations to junior Jocelyn Brink, sophomore Trista Swanson, and freshman Brooklyn Stauffer, who went and competed as like I said, the first West Branch girls wrestling team. Um, so that's making history. That's making history. It's history that's long overdue, and we've talked about it at length on this show on how awesome it is, though HSA recognized girls wrestling as a sport now, opening up a lot of avenues and a lot of doors, and we see another one opened up last night for West Branch. So a great wrestling program that the Warriors have always had, and now three girls are kind of headlining their girls team, which is awesome. Congratulations to those three going down and breaking some history in the school.
Yeah, it's great to hear. Again, we talked about that in episode 1, and we talked about it last year that, the girls wrestling is expanding. The numbers are growing across the state, and it's good to see more and more schools sponsoring an entire girls team. It's not always easy if you're a smaller school to do that, but the bigger schools, the Division II and I schools, once the program gets started, I'm sure the numbers will take care of themselves. It's just got to get a couple that are interested and get their friends to come out, and just from there, it just seems to really spread really quickly with the girls. I don't know why. It just seems like it's a lot easier once they get a couple girls out on the team to recruit other girls. We've seen United's had a great success with their numbers. Salem has as well. I know down my way, Steubenville, Big Red, they've got some great female numbers. Hubbard, I believe, does as well. So, I mean, it's just continuing to grow, and it's great to see a school like West Branch do that. Hopefully more schools their size and around them will do the same. Alliance is another one that's popped in my head. They're all doing a great job.
Over the weekend, Nick Bowser said Hubbard will be at the Pymatuning Valley duels. I think South Range will be there as well. So we have a big one going down there in the YSN family. Is Pymatuning Valley, kind of a newer member of the YSN family. We brought them on last year as part of the 4-4-0 and goal, and I think they host that pretty much every year. They host a big duel. So another good one over the weekend. Gary, I know it's slow going to Christmas. Is there anything else happening over the weekend that is noteworthy?
Yeah, the Waterloo Division III Classic is this weekend. We'll be there, and there'll be a lot of YSN Division III YSN schools that will be there. It's hosted at Waterloo. It's a big tournament. Usually over 20 something teams are there. It's so big, in fact, they have to use both of their gyms to be able to get all of them in. If you're a coach, you put in the miles that weekend because you're walking from one side of their campus to the other to get from one gym to the next. And I wish I had one of those pedometers to see how much I walked that weekend, because I put some miles on my boots as I go in between the gyms. It's a good tournament. What I like about it is the first day they put the kids in pools, which are just groups. They all go into groups of 4, 5, 6, however many they need to split them up in. They all wrestle a round robin. They wrestle each other, and they take the top wrestlers from each weight class. The top 8 go into a bracket the following day, and then whoever didn't make the top 8, they go into a different bracket, into a different tournament in the other gym. So if you got first-year kids or kids don't have the experience or are still learning the sport, if they don't make it to that bracket, that gold bracket, then they can wrestle in the other tournament and get other kids with their same experience and at their same level. It's a good weekend of wrestling, and I like that it's all Division III schools so that you can try to get as even competition as possible.
We are definitely looking forward to that and everything else that's going on over the weekend. And we're going to be back next week for another Wrestling Wednesday episode 5. I can't believe we're already at episode 5. This is 4. Next week's 5. Chris Colucci, by the way, was broadcasting last night. That was our second wrestling broadcast of the season. He was in South Range for their rescheduled duel against Southeast. So Pirates and Raiders getting at it last night. I'm looking to see if he's going to be on the schedule for Saturday. I don't think. Yeah, he is. He's going to be at the Waterloo. So Chris Colucci will be down there for the Waterloo tournament that Gary's talking about. So that one will be covered by YSN. Our very own Chris Colucci will be down there doing that. And he's brought a lot to our wrestling coverage. Make sure to check out YSN_wrestling on Instagram. He puts up power rankings Nothing this week because, like he said, like and Gary said too, it's so early that the rankings wouldn't have changed at all. So it's kind of like just repeating the same numbers. But those rankings will be updated as the season goes on and as those numbers are going to change because early on in the season, no one's really done anything that's gonna fix those numbers. So. But yeah, follow that account on Instagram. It has all your wrestling post game interviews, post match interviews, coaches and players, and once again the wrestling rankings on YSN as well. We're gonna take a break and cut off that segment of Wrestling Wednesdays. And when we get back, we're going to recap the scores from last night's basketball, and then obviously we are going to preview what's on the slate tonight as well on the network. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Running Point, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town.